Hi friends. This is gonna be a ride, so get ready. This film has been, I wouldn't say the word is highly anticipated, but people have been talking about this film and this remake for a very long time, and finally it is being released. We're talking about The Crow today. I want to set this up by letting you know that there has been times online where I have spoken about films, whether that be loving, being indifferent, or not liking a film, and my opinions have gone against majority. And this phenomenon has happened to everyone. It's called an opinion, but it's also called you are an individual person and maybe your perspective changes how you view something. There was definitely a film this year that I just liked and people roasted me for not loving. So keeping that in mind, I'm gonna go into this film with an open mind because I know from the get, from the jump, from the moment people knew this was going into production, people hated this film. And let me tell you, the trailer did not help that. I totally agree, but I'm gonna really try. I'm gonna try, guys. I really have to. A lot of people's concerns come from their love of the 1994 Crow. Of course, The Crow is based on a comic book that came out in 1989 by James O'Barr. The original comic series is about an entity who is dealing with revenge after his fiancée dies at the hands of a drunk driver. From here, there's been a couple of different adaptations and so many sequels, but of course the most well-known and well-regarded is the 1994 film of the same name, starring Brandon Lee. In this version, a musician and his fiancée are brutally murdered by members of a violent gang, and on the anniversary of their death, he arises from the grave to seek revenge. This film is beloved by so many people for so many different reasons. The stylization, the music, of course the acting, but it also went down as a piece of history because Brandon Lee died, unfortunately, on set. So people are very attached to this film. And that's great, we love passion. But also this is the reason that people are so protective of it. So, now, 2024, The Crow is back. This film again is about Eric and his partner who are murdered, and he is given a chance to seek revenge. The film looks to be action-packed. It's labeled as a dark fantasy, dark romance, and it has a pretty good cast. It has Bill Skarsgård, who I absolutely love, and FKA Twigs. The trailer for this film has been shoved down all of our throats, but I feel like because we know the circumstance around it, there's not going to be any real twists or turns. It's going to be pretty straightforward. It's just going to see how they're going to re-adapt the comic book to this new updated version. They made him kind of punkish, I guess less goth, I don't know. But it really is all about the visuals because it's a very straightforward story. So enough chatter. I'm gonna go check out The Crow. I'm a little bit scared, but come with me and let's give this a fair shot, guys. Let's try. Come on, let's go see The Crow. I can't believe it. Okay. Dang. Honestly, I said it, I was gonna go in with tempered expectations. I was going in open, and it was, I got about this far before I was really shut off. The main issue I had with this film is really nothing to do with this film at all. It's the fact that the original film adaptation, I know you guys hate when I say adaptation, adaptation is so ingrained in my mind, and I did rewatch it before this too, which is probably a mistake, that this film, it feels so strange that it's even a Crow film. And the issue I have with that is I don't know the comic series. I'm not going to pretend like I've read that and I know anything about that. So I don't know what they left off in the film that is so well renowned for this story and what was adapted to this film, because this film, The Crow, is such a different story. It's a complete different story. So I would say if you are able to separate this from what you know about the original Crow, it might be a good background watch at home in saying all of that. This film is not great. It is not great. But I could very much see this as a movie that I would watch on like Prime, like a direct-to-video release in the background on a Sunday. And it's just so straightforward and so glamorized, over-romantic. Almost, it's like a horny movie. It's almost like this really glorified toxic relationship, which is so sad because I hate saying this, but the thing that everyone loved about the original film is it's a pure tale of love in its truest form. And in this film, they do so much background work that it kind of loses its direction. Bill Skarsgård is so good in everything he does, and he was in a film called Boy Kills World this year. That was an action flick that had all of the good gore and guts and, you know, all the different body parts, the gruesome action scenes. But I felt like that story was way more interesting than this, even though I didn't even really like that film. I just felt like this film was over dramatic, and part of me really wanted to feed into that, but the start of the film just threw me. I'll tell you why. FKA Twigs, I was rooting for you, girl. I like you. But she was horrendous in this film, and I'm not going to pretend. It was so bad. The acting from the start, I just didn't believe their chemistry or their connection. Yes, they're a very sexy couple, and there is no doubting that, but I felt like it just lost so much focus because they tried so hard to make this some like fast, romantic, pure love story. And I love in the original Crow, fuck, I hate that I'm doing this. I love that in the original Crow how it's just this unwavering fact that their love is pure, and this one they tried so hard to prove it. Other than that, the original film has such a sci-fi, almost noir stylization where it's like this mystery, darkness, and I feel like it really worked for that time period. Now where they're trying to recreate that, this story, I'm telling you, it's completely different, even though it follows the same idea about people coming back for revenge. I don't want to spoil it for you if you are going to watch it, but the whole start portion of this film is a completely different story, how we get from A to B. And also the whole objective of it is completely different. And the stylization, I just felt like it was very cheapened with a lot of CGI, all that kind of stuff. I felt like it would have been better if it went down like a Christopher Nolan, like Batman look. I feel like he could have pulled that off a lot better. I don't think Bill Skarsgård did anything wrong in this role. I do think that he was a great pick to play Eric. He can do anything, and he really encompasses, like, that guy is Pennywise. He encompasses everything, and he takes it on wholeheartedly. I think he's an amazing actor, but I just don't think all of the elements came together in the correct way. And also, no shade, but I do think that he looks like the main guy, the entity in Death Note in this film. I think he could do that really well. I think that would, I don't know what I'm thinking anymore. This was such a strange film to come out of that universe, and it just didn't have the same meaning, feeling, or story. It feels completely removed, which begs the question, why even do it? If it was recreated and they could really add some elements to it, modernize it, give it a little twist, in which they kind of tried to do, but I felt like the twist was so far out of the realm of what the original film means and the feeling behind it, that this should have just been its own fucking thing. If they wanted to do a toxic relationship, Joker, fucking Harley Quinn, whatever they're doing, then they can just go do that. I don't understand, okay? I do not understand that. This film just felt like it was all about trauma bonding, and it was just like such a fast romance. I don't know, I just didn't believe any of it. It just was not believable. But The action was kind of cool. There was some good gore, there's some good moments, but I do think everything good about this film could be summed up to a couple of minutes, and it's nothing that the other version of the film doesn't give us. So it is the poor man's Crow. For sure. For sure. I could see this as straight to VOD. This is a straight to streaming movie. For me, I didn't find it to be that theatrical, even though it does have some epic gore scenes. That scene alone, I think in the third act, cool. Everything else, it felt small. It didn't feel grand. It felt like maybe seeing it on a smaller screen might take out some of the cheesiness, make it so it's not so amplified. I feel like Bill Skarsgård did for that film what Josh Hartnett did for Trap. They carried it on their back. They were like, come on, we can get to the finish line, everyone. We've got to give it our all. And then the editors just completely fucked them. And especially in this one, they relied so heavily on the team, and it just was not a complete vision. It was not meant to be. Overall, I do think it's watchable, but I think it's definitely a streaming movie. If you're curious about it, I think it's worth that. Depending on if you want to go to the cinema with a bunch of friends, that's also good. But it's not like a intricate film with a lot of layers. It's very straightforward. You know exactly what's going to happen, which sometimes people love. And the action is really cool for about 10 minutes of it, but the rest of it kind of just unraveled, and I didn't really feel neither here or there about it, which is really sad because The Crow is meant to be a really sad frickin' story about heartbreak and, you know, the loss of your soulmate. And I just didn't feel that. It's mid. It's mid to say the best, but it should have been dropped on VOD. 100%. For originality, I'm going to give it, that's hard. I mean, we've seen this story before. For originality, we're just going to have to give it like a 2, right? And for scare gore, it's great. Gore, I would probably give it like a 7. And you know, I'm going to stick to that. I'm just going to keep it a gore score. It's not scary, but it has got gore, and obviously it's got violence. I would love to know what you guys thought about this film. Did anyone feel like it was watchable, or just me? Maybe it's just Bill Skarsgård. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. If you missed it, yesterday I saw Blink twice, and that was a trip. So go check out that spoiler-free review, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.